And a lot of the rituals of the Kaaba, you should know for your own knowledge, even the non-Muslims that were doing pagan worship at the Kaaba, a lot of that pagan worship was just the deformed version of what Ibrahim alayhi salam taught originally thousands of years ago. It just went through many mutations and it became this pagan thing. But some of the stuff that was in there was actually still original. Like they were doing tawaf, and tawaf was something taught to Ibrahim alayhi salam. At-ta'ifin wal-akifin ar-ruka' as-sujud. They were still sacrificing the animals, and the sacrifice of the animal was taught to Ibrahim alayhi salam. So even though they had a lot of shirk, if you peel off the layers of the shirk, behind it were actually remnants of the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam still, right? So, and part of those are common to Islam. The Muslims brought animals to sacrifice. The mushrikun also used to have animals to sacrifice. Why is that the common thing? Because we are restoring the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and the mushrikun have bits and pieces from that legacy that they're still holding on to and mixing in a lot of their corruption with it, right? So Hulais has a lot of respect for the Kaaba. He has a lot of reverence for the animals that are being brought for the sacrifice, etc. The Prophet ﷺ sees him coming from a distance, and he knows that the people of Kinana, they are more religious in that way. So فَقَالَ رَجُلٌ مِّن بَنِي كِنَانَ دَعُونِي آتِيهِ. So one of the people of Banu Kinana, Hulais, said, let me go talk to him. So he told the Quraysh, listen, the Taif thing didn't work, other places didn't work, I'm a religious guy, I'm a softer person, I'll go speak with them, let me see if I can make sense with them. فَقَالُوا إِئْتِهِ. So they told him, go talk to this man, Muhammad. فَلَمَّا أَشْرَفَ عَلَى النَّبِي صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَأَصْحَابِهِ. When he came to approach the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هذا فلان وهو من قوم يعظمون البدن فابعثوها له فبعثت له. So he said, this is a person, they have a lot of respect and regard for animals that are supposed to be sacrificed for religious reasons. Now, did the Muslims bring their animals? They brought their animals. So he said, even though he's approaching, why don't you do this? Take all the animals that are meant to be sacrificed, put them in front of us. So the first thing he's going to see is, he's not going to see the Muslims, he's going to see the animals that are supposed to be sacrificed, and he has respect for that already. So he's like, oh, they're here on a sacred pilgrimage? These are sacrificial animals. And as he got closer, وَاسْتَقْبَلَهُ النَّاسُ يُلَبُّونَ, and as he came closer to the people, he noticed that the people were doing talbiyah. لَبَّيْكَ اللَّهُمَّ لَبَّيْكَ لَبَّيْكَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَكَ لَبَّيْكَ. They were remembering God. They were remembering Allah. So he's like, this is not war. These people are here to worship God. They brought their animals for the sacrifice. That's why they're here. Why am I here to negotiate with them? فَلَمَّا رَأَى ذَلِكَ قَالَ سُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ. When he saw that, he said, Subhanallah is said in classical Arabic when you see something blasphemous, when you see something that is an affront to God, something offensive to Allah. That's when you say Subhanallah. So when he says Subhanallah, it's almost like he's saying, God forbid, مَا يَنْبَغِي لِهَؤُلَاءِ أَنْ يُصَدُّوا عَنِ الْبَيْتِ. It's not okay for these people to be prevented from going to the house. This is wrong. These people shouldn't be here. They should have a right to go to the Kaaba. He hasn't even come to negotiate, and he became an advocate for the Muslims. So the guy from Kinana, Hulais. فَلَمَّا رَجَعَ إِلَى أَصْحَابِهِ. When he went back to his own people, meaning the Quraysh, قَالَ رَأَيْتُ الْبُدْنَ قَدْ قُلِّدَتْ وَأُشْعِرَتْ. He said, I saw sacrifice animals that have already been marked. This is a sacred journey. How are you stopping this from happening? فَلَمَّا أَرَى أَنْ يُصَدُّوا عَنِ الْبَيْتِ فَمَا أَرَى أَنْ يُصَدُّوا عَنِ الْبَيْتِ. I don't think they should be stopped from worshiping at the house. This is sacrilegious. This is blasphemous. This is a crime against the religion. Even though he's not a Muslim, he believes in the sanctity of the Kaaba. He believes in animals that are meant for the sacrifice. So based on that, even from his religious perspective, this is a crime against the religion. It's a spiritual crime. So they told him, اجلس فإنما أنت الأعرابي لا علم لك. He said, sit down. You're just a Bedouin. You don't know anything. So they basically insulted him. Hulais got upset. Now he's a neighbor to the tribe of the Quraysh, and he's now upset. غضب عند ذلك والله ما على هذا حالفناكم وما على هذا عاقدناكم. He said, I swear to God, that is not what we align ourselves with you for. We have taken an oath to be loyal to you, to be allies with you, but not on this. Meaning our entire basis for being loyal to you is that you take care of the Kaaba and you give people the right to the Kaaba when they are they're coming for their religious reasons. You are depriving these people of their religious right. That is a violation of the treaty we have with you. Basically, this is his way of saying, you and I, your people and Kinana, which is right next door neighbor to the Quraysh, are no longer affiliated. We're cutting ties with you. So this was a political blow to the Quraysh also. وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ الْحُلَيْسِ بِيَدِهِ لَتَخُلَّنَّ بَيْنَ مُحَمَّدٍ وَبَيْنَ مَا جَاءَ لَهُ. He said, I swear by the one whose life is in my hands, meaning I swear to God, you will absolutely let Muhammad be and let him do what he came here to do. أَوْ لَأَنْفِرَنَّ بِالْأَحَابِيشِ نَفْرَةُ رَجُلٍ وَاحِدٍ. Or I will separate from you all of the neighboring tribes. I will convince all of the tribes to cut their ties with you. فَقَالُوا لَهُ مَهْ. They said to him, shut up. Now you know the word for shut up. It's ma. The Farsi shuma megan ma for biggie, right? So you say take something, you say ma. In Arabic you say ma means shut up. Which actually, and so in Farsi you say take this, you say ma. And in Arabic you say shut up. Which sometimes for kids it's the same, isn't it? Take this and shut up. Anyway, so they said ma. Kuf anna. Just stop talking to us, Ya Hulays. حَتَّى نَأْخُذَ لِأَنفُسِنَا مَا نَرْضَى بِهِ. We're going to do whatever we want to do. Leave us alone. We have the choice to make. You're nothing. You're nobody. So basically, they now have alienated the Kinana tribe from themselves also. The Prophet ﷺ suggested that the first negotiator he sent got beat up from Khuza'ah. So maybe we should send someone who's harder to beat up. So we should send Umar bin al-Khattab. So the Prophet ﷺ nominated Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu to go in and negotiate on the Muslim behalf. And Umar said, listen, I have no tribal affiliations left inside. They will probably try to kill me. I'll probably take out more of them before they get to me. But this is not going to be a negotiation. I'm telling you that right now. Right? So he knew. He has no problem with it. But he's like, this is not going to be much of a negotiation. If you're okay with that, I'm good with it. Let's go. But in my opinion, if you want a negotiation, I think Uthman is a better option. The reason Uthman is a better option is because he is related to Abu Sufyan. And Abu Sufyan, for all practical purposes, is now the governor of Makkah, essentially the president, if you will, right? So he's cousins, or he's nephew to the president. So there's a closer relationship. And that's why it's probably a better chance they're not going to attack Uthman because he belongs to the governing family. So he has a better chance to negotiate. Okay, so with that in mind, they send Uthman radiallahu anhu. There's a gate before you get into the Makkah itself, proper Makkah, called Baldah. People stopped him at the gate. They wouldn't let him get through. But then he met one of his relatives, Abdan ibn Sa'ad ibn al-As. It's his cousin who's from the same tribe. He said, no, he's my cousin. Let him come in. Let him come in. So through a connection, Uthman radiallahu anhu made it inside. Now, when he made it inside, he met with the leaders of Quraysh one by one. The Prophet ﷺ had also instructed him to meet with the prisoners of war. Muslims were being held captive in Makkah. So he told them to meet with them also. So he met with some of the people that were basically held back as hostages inside Makkah. He met with the leaders of Makkah one by one until he met with the presidential figure himself, Abu Sufyan, who's a relative of his, right? And Abu Sufyan basically told him, فَوَاللَّهِ لَا تُحَدِّثُ الْعَرَبَ عَنَّا أَنَّهُ دَخَلَ عَلَيْنَا عُنْوَ أَبَدًا. He said, listen, I will never allow the Arabs to say about us that we gave you even an inch. I cannot let that happen because, now let me pause here before I go further. I want you to understand why this is so delicate for Quraysh. They have fought with the Muslims before. 3 wars have already happened. Multiple other battles have already happened, smaller scale. But this is the first time they're about to negotiate, or there's even a thought of negotiating. And when you negotiate, you give something and you take something. And you don't negotiate. You know, you ever heard the phrase recently, we don't negotiate with terrorists, right? So if you're negotiating with them, you've already considered them a legitimate party. So you've been calling them terrorists all this time, and now you're negotiating with them and you're giving them an inch even. That means you legitimize them. And that means they are so powerful, they went from being criminals in your eyes to actually being a legitimate government in your eyes. You have to recognize their legitimacy by negotiating with them. And that would be a major loss and a major defeat for the Quraysh in the eyes of the larger public. By the way, they already told their neighboring tribe, Taif, we're not going to negotiate. Forget this. They already told Kinana people, we're not going to negotiate. They already told Khuza'a people, we're not going to negotiate. Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. We're going to do what we want to do. We're not going to give them an inch. And now all of a sudden they're supposed to negotiate. So Abu Sufyan says, this is really bad for us. We're going to look weak. We're going to look like we don't follow through on our claims. And our press release is different from our actual policy, right? So the contradiction will come out and we're going to look like idiots in front of the world stage, right? Sound familiar? بينما نحن قافلون من الحديبية نادى منادى النبي أيها الناس البيعة والبيعة. I'll tell you what this hadith is about. So Uthman radiallahu anhu is inside and they say, hey, so do you want to make tawaf? He said, why should I make tawaf? I'm not going to make tawaf without the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I didn't come here for that. I came here to negotiate with you to let all of my people come and the Messenger of Allah come sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that made them want to hold Uthman back. So now it's been a long time. Now there's a different set of reports. Is it a few hours or is it a few days? We don't know. But Uthman radiallahu anhu was held back and no news from Uthman. Now what happens on the other side? We haven't heard from Uthman. The Muslims are camped out in Hudaybiyyah. No more fighting is happening, but we haven't heard from Uthman. And the way this plays out, I'm going to do an imaginary scenario for you. There's a couple of Sahaba sitting together and they're like, Uthman hasn't come back for a while. Yeah. I hope he didn't get killed. Somebody just may have said, I hope he didn't get killed. 5 feet over this way. You didn't hear the whole conversation. You just heard the word killed and Uthman. You're like, hey, did you? I thought I heard Uthman got killed. Did Uthman get killed? I don't know. Maybe find out. So you go to somebody else. Hey, have you heard anything about Uthman being killed? No, I haven't heard. Let me ask around. And now the questions being asked. And enough questions being asked. A lot of people are saying Uthman got killed. Yo, everybody knows Uthman got killed. Uthman got killed. So what happens in a crowd, you overhear something, it travels, it travels, it travels, it becomes something else. Some of the younger people here probably know the game of telephone, right? I played the game of telephone in the old Bayyinah campus once. I had a bunch of kids, like 80 kids. And I said, telephone is you whisper in one ear, they whisper in the next, they whisper in the next, and you ask the last kid what they said, right? So I whispered in the first child's ear, Bob punched Joe. That's what I said to him, Bob punched Joe. And he's supposed to whisper that. And we went through 80 kids. By the time we got to the 80th kid, I said, what did you hear? He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It travels, it takes, nobody changed it completely. I don't know how that transformation happened, but somebody decided might as well spread khair. Now Rasulullah ﷺ is also getting worried, and the rumor is spreading to the point where he's convinced, and Allah, to test the believers, sent Jibreel alayhi salam to the Prophet ﷺ. Call the followers and make them take a pledge with you. Make them take a pledge with you. So he called. The Prophet ﷺ told one of his